My name is Braxton Ellery, 67, retired firefighter, 27 years in the field, 8 commendations, 2 fractured ribs, 1 collapsed lung. What I got out of it: a pension, a cabinet of medals collecting dust, and a family that treats me like an unwanted Christmas card. They call me old school, out of touch. But the truth is, I never played their games, never smiled for the sake of appearances. Rowan's message came 2 days ago. "Christmas wouldn't be complete without you, Dad." That was the line. The same son who hadn't returned my calls in months, who skipped Thanksgiving with a polite excuse and radio silence. But this time, he added a heart emoji. Strange how one tiny icon can make a man pack a bag and buy a one-way ticket into the cold. They said they wanted me here. I landed at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport at 5:07 p.m. The snow had started, clean, sharp, the kind that looked like it could flay your skin if the wind hit right. I waited by Carousel 7. Baggage spun around like a carousel of ghosts. Everyone else got claimed. Hugs, laughter, signs, glittery hats. I stood there with a half-zipped coat, a bag of homemade molasses cookies, and a gift-wrapped photo frame from 50 years ago. No call, no text. I checked the screen. Nothing. Checked the door. No familiar face. Checked myself. Hands trembling. Breath slow. Vision tightening. 1 hour passed. Then 2. My legs stiffened. I didn't sit. I knew if I sat, it'd be like accepting it, admitting they forgot, or worse, never intended to come. People don't forget, I murmured under my breath. They just remember things differently than you do. I took a lift. The driver talked too much, asked what brought me to town. "Family," I said, staring out into the black ice. "Hope they treat you right," he replied. I didn't answer. The house was on Dunhurst Lane, gated, suburban, glass everywhere, the kind of place that made people forget how to apologize. Rowan's old SUV was gone. I stood outside for 3 minutes. Doorbell pressed. Lights on. No sound. Something buzzed in my pocket. A message. Unknown number. "You shouldn't have come. They never wanted you here." I froze. Typing. Then it disappeared. I knocked once, twice. No answer. I tried the handle. Unlocked. The heat was running. The house smelled like pine-scented air freshener and burnt cinnamon. I walked in. The foyer looked untouched, immaculate, but too clean. No muddy boots. No coats by the door. No sign of kids. No wrapping paper. No clutter. No laughter. The kitchen had a fruit bowl. Wax apples. Countertops too polished. On the fridge, there were photos. Holiday cards from other families. Magnets shaped like wine bottles. A postcard from Santa Monica. And one photo. Family portrait. Rowan, Harper, their 2 kids. Big smiles. Matching pajamas. I squinted. Where was I? I stepped closer. The corner where I stood last year, cut off. Literally. My figure had been torn from the photo. A jagged edge, like I never existed. My hands balled into fists. The paper bag of cookies slipped from my grip, hit the floor with a soft thud. They never planned to pick me up. They never wanted me here. My phone buzzed again. Another message. That wasn't a mistake. That was a message. I stepped further in. Door clicked shut behind me. The silence was too tight, like a rope pulled taut across my throat. No sounds from upstairs, no TV, no music, nothing. Kitchen to the left. Marble, chrome, too clean. I ran a finger along the counter. Nothing. No crumbs, no fingerprints. Just staged perfection. Someone had cleaned this place like they were expecting a real estate agent, not a father. People decorate absence better than presents, I muttered. Living room, unchanged. Same rug from 5 years ago. Same couch with the loose armrest I used to fix with duct tape every visit. But everything had been rearranged slightly, off angle, as if whoever lived here wanted it to look familiar, not be familiar. A framed family portrait sat above the fireplace. Rowan, Harper, the kids. No me. I turned it over, handwriting on the back. Christmas Eve 2022. Full circle. I let the frame slip back into place. It landed with a thud that echoed too long. I made my way upstairs. Every step creaked. Floorboards whined beneath my boots like they hadn't held real weight in weeks. Rowan's office door was ajar. Monitor lit. Chair slightly turned. Laptop unlocked. Sloppy. Curious. I sat, Inbox open, subject line scrolled like a slow bleed. Power of attorney, digital copy signed. Asset transfer, Braxton Ellery Revocable Trust. Final revision, will template, remove grandparent clause. My jaw locked. They'd been using my name, transferring assets I never authorized. A man's worth used to be measured by what he stood for. These days, just by how easy his name is to forge. Attached PDFs loaded slow, but when they opened, they burned. My signature, perfect curve, right-handed. Only one problem, I'm left-handed. Click. Another file, bank routing slips, transfers from a joint account, all routed through a holding firm in the Caymans, under a shell corporation named NH Properties. I wasn't just forgotten, I was being erased. A sound snapped behind me. Footstep, hallway. I spun in the chair. Empty. My heartbeat drowned out the silence. I moved slow. Hand sliding to the drawer, found a small utility blade, dull but sharp enough for a throat if pushed hard enough. Footstep again. Closer this time. Breath tight. I stepped out into the hallway. Down the stairs. Front door creaked open. Wind rushed in. No one there, but something was on the floor. A plain manila envelope, half covered in snow. I picked it up. Inside, a photo. Grainy zoomed in. Me. At the airport, standing beside Carousel 7. Taken from the second floor. Someone had been watching me since I landed. Another slip, typed words. If you keep digging, you'll wish they'd forgotten you for real. I stepped back inside, closed the door, locked it. The air inside shifted, like the house exhaled now that I'd read the message. I moved toward the back hallway, pantry, garage entrance, the pantry. Door was ajar. Cracked open just enough. I nudged it. Nothing. I pushed harder. Inside. Dark. Storage shelves, boxes, canned food, and a trail of scuffed floor tiles, footprints. One set large. Wet. Recent. They led to the garage. I followed. The door was half closed. A breeze whistled through the gap. I placed my palm against the cold metal and pushed. The garage light flickered. A shadow moved across the far wall, then froze. I stopped breathing. The shadow shifted again. I stepped in. "Rowan!" I called. Silence. I inched forward, blade in hand, sweat down my back despite the cold. Another flicker. The motion sensor kicked in, and that's when I saw him. A man. Mid-30s. Beanie. Gloves. Not Rowan. Not anyone I recognized. He wasn't surprised. He was waiting. His eyes locked with mine. And he smiled. Only people with nothing to lose smile like that. He stepped forward once. I stepped back. A phone buzzed in his hand. He lifted it, typed something fast, then looked me dead in the eye. "You weren't supposed to come inside." That's when it hit me. This wasn't about being forgotten. This house was never meant to be empty. It was meant to be watched, controlled, for someone to walk in and never walk out. "Who the hell are you?" He didn't answer, just stared. Calm, calculated, waiting. My grip tightened on the blade, not enough to win a fight, but enough to leave a scar if I aimed right. The man stepped left. I mirrored. His boot creaked on the concrete. Weight shift. He wasn't just here to intimidate. This was containment. "Turn around," I said, voice steady. "Get out now while your legs still work." He tilted his head, smirking. "You're not the one giving orders." A beat, then motion. He lunged. I ducked, instinct from a life spent running into hell. Shoulder slammed into his chest. The blade sliced air, then skin. He hissed, grabbed my wrist, twisted. Pain bloomed up my arm. I jammed my knee into his thigh. He staggered. I broke free. Ran. Back into the hallway. Doors slammed shut behind me. Footsteps pounding behind. I pivoted, shoved a chair down behind me. He tripped. 1 second bought. I bolted for the office, slammed the door, locked it, breathing hard, ribs tight, laptop still open, the screen now blinking. Someone was remotely accessing it, cursor moving, files disappearing. No. I pulled the flash drive from my jacket, plugged it in, clicked fast, downloaded everything I could before the connection severed. Documents flickered, sign power of attorney, real estate deeds, a scanned passport with my name but not my face. My throat tightened. This wasn't just identity theft. This was a replacement. I ripped the drive out. The office door shook behind me. 1 hit, 2, crack. He was coming through. I backed away, looked to the left. Window, locked. Screw it. I grabbed a brass lamp, smashed the pane. Glass exploded. Cold air sliced my face. I climbed out, dropped 6 feet onto frozen grass, rolled, got up, ran. Retirement doesn't mean surrender, I muttered through my teeth. Behind me, no sign of pursuit yet, but it was coming. I ducked behind a row of hedges, pulled out the flash drive, had to hide it, my boot heel, slipped it beneath the lining, foot back in, secure. I needed distance. I needed time. Garage door creaked open from the side. He was outside now. I crawled low, heart pounding, got to the side gate, unlatched it. Snow blew sideways. I slipped out. Street empty, except a white sedan idling across the road, headlights off. Someone inside, watching. Too still to be coincidence. I ducked behind a trash bin, tried the phone. No bars, not jammed, just dead zone. Maybe. Every time you think you're ahead, check your back. That's where the shot always comes from. I moved fast. Cut through the neighbor's yard, climbed a chain link fence. Boot caught, tore my pant leg. Landed hard, kept moving. Behind the next house, dark. Basement window, open a crack. Broke in. Old laundry room. Dust. Silence. No alarm. I sat in the shadows, listening. No sirens. No cars. Just the wind and my own pulse. I pulled out the burner. Phone. Used once. Still had a charge. 1 number saved. I pressed it. 3 rings. Then, who is this? Etta. I whispered. It's me. Silence. Then, I told you not to come. They set me up. Of course they did. Who else is in this? She exhaled. Check Rowan's private cloud. You'll find the warehouse location. Why would I go there? Because that's where your name dies. Click. She hung up. I stared at the wall. Warehouse. Private cloud. Flash drive wouldn't be enough. I needed the source. I stood. Knees cracked. Chest heaved. And in that moment, I stopped thinking like a father, stopped thinking like a victim, started thinking like a firefighter again. You don't wait for the flames to reach you. You go find where they started. If they want a ghost, I'll show them one. The building looked like it had been condemned years ago. Paint peeled in strips, windows shattered, the sign hanging sideways by one rusted chain. Warehouse 19. No cameras, no footprints in the snow. No movement. Dead quiet. Which meant someone was already inside. I approached from the back. Old firefighter habit, never take the front door unless you want to be seen. I used a crowbar to wedge open a loading dock shutter just enough to slip under. The air hit me like wet copper, mold, oil. A dull hum echoed from somewhere deep in the structure. Motion sensor lights flicked on in segments one by one. Pop, pop, pop. Each one brighter, whiter, harsher. Inside was mostly empty. Dust-covered crates, broken shelving, broken glass. In the center, a table. On it, a portable projector already glowing. They were expecting me, not hoping, not guessing. Expecting. I approached slow. Knife still at my waist. The screen blinked, a single file ready to play. Braxton, the truth they buried. I press play. Grainy footage. A man in a dark suit. Nervous, breathing heavy, voice hoarse. I worked for them. Rowan, Naomi. The offshore firm is real. NH Properties. It's a front, but it's been building for years. And your name's the foundation. He coughed, looked down. They needed someone clean, someone trustworthy, and someone old enough that if he suddenly died, no one would question it. My gut went cold. I tried to pull out. I told Naomi I was done. Then my brakes failed 2 days later. They called it ice. Cut, static. Then another clip. This time a video call screen. Rowan, Naomi. Both clear as day. No disguise, no shame. Rowan's voice. He's not gonna come. He's too stubborn. Naomi. Then we make him come. The invitation goes out. The trap sets itself. Rowan again. He lands. We wait. One night, no mess. Just silence. My throat closed. I staggered back. That wasn't a betrayal. That was a blueprint. Something clattered behind me. I spun too late. Crack. Pain exploded at the base of my skull. I dropped. Darkness surged in. But I didn't black out. I landed hard, shoulder first, rolled under the table, breathing shallow, vision tilted, but I saw boots. 2 pairs. Male. Heavy tread. Tactical. I closed my eyes, listened. One said, check the body. Other, He's not here. Must have bailed. Negative. Car's still outside. They moved fast. I waited for the sound of a heel turning. Then I lunged, grabbed the leg of one, pulled. He collapsed, rifle clattering. I kicked it away. The other turned, gun half raised. Too slow. I threw the lamp from the table, hit his wrist. Shot rang off the steel wall. I rolled, got to my feet, grabbed the nearest pipe from the ground. "You're not cops," I said. "No." One grinned. "We're cleaners." I swung, hit him clean across the jaw, teeth sprayed. The other lunged, tackled me back into the crates. Wood splintered, fists, elbows, blind hits. But they were younger, faster. I was losing. So I did what any firefighter does in a trap. Change the oxygen. I reached for the emergency valve behind the old boiler unit, cracked it open. Gas hissed. One yelled, "What are you doing?" I smiled. Leveling the field, I grabbed a flare gun from my coat, lit it, held it up. Their eyes widened. "You drop me." I dropped this. They froze, sweat on their brows. "You won't do it." "Try me." One moved. I dropped it. Boom. Flash. Fire erupted across the back wall. Smoke climbed fast. I dove behind a steel drum. Heat flooded the space. The two screamed, retreating through the side exit. I waited 2 beats, then ran opposite. Found the rear staircase. Metal stairs groaned under my boots. Second floor, office space, abandoned. But something caught my eye. A file cabinet, locked. I yanked, too tight. Used the crowbar, pried it open. Inside, only one file. Slim. Stamped. Ellery Holdings, Trust Transfer 2023. I opened it. 1 page. A signature. Mine. Forged again. But this time, it transferred control of all real estate under Ellery Trust to Naomi. Not Rowan, not shared. All. They were turning on each other. That's when I heard it. Footsteps coming up the stairs. I looked around. No more exits. Just a shattered window. 5 floors above ground. I grabbed the file. Secured it inside my coat. Then I backed up, ran, and jumped. This isn't about family. It's a war over legacy. The city buzzed below as I pressed my back against the service door of the high-rise. Tower 16, downtown Minneapolis. A sleek financial shell wrapped around rot. NH Properties had leased the entire 12th floor under a different name. Braxton Asset Management. Cute. Security was light. Holiday skeleton crew. Most folks at home, unwrapping lies and pretending Christmas didn't hurt. I bypassed the front desk with a stolen ID tag clipped to a UPS jacket. Card swiped green. Elevator opened. I stepped in. Alone. 12 floors up, I counted each ding like a heartbeat. The doors slid open to silence. White marble floors. Frosted glass walls. Designer furniture no one sat in. An office made to look expensive, but too clean to be lived in. I walked straight down the hall. Room 1207. Naomi's locked. I pulled out the card again, slid it down the reader. Click. Inside. Minimal, cold, framed family photo of Rowan and the kids on her desk. My face wasn't in it, of course. Computer asleep. I sat, woke it up. Password prompt, 3 tries. First, Evelyn 1976, denied. Second, Naomi Ellery, denied. Third, Full Circle 2022, access granted. The desktop bloomed with folders, legal scans, signature templates, routing instructions, a folder labeled Ellery Final Estate. I clicked it. Inside, the original will. Scanned, dated 6 years ago, then 4 edited versions, then a 5th labeled active version executed Dec 18. That was 6 days ago. 1 page in, and my stomach turned. The latest revision removed all language referencing Braxton Ellery or any surviving descendant under his lineage. Wiped out. Legally. They didn't just steal my identity. They deleted my bloodline. I downloaded it all, every file. Flash drive blinked red. My breath shortened. They knew I was here. I turned toward the office door, heard nothing. Then the hum of the elevator, a single ding. Someone else was coming. I yanked the flash drive, pocketed it, moved fast, out the side door into the emergency stairwell. I ran, 12 floors down, boots heavy, breath louder than it should have been. At floor 4, the door burst open above me. Footsteps followed, not running, just steady, confident. I ducked into floor 3, supply closet, locked from inside. I waited, footsteps slowed, stopped right outside, knuckles tapped the door. "You're running out of stairwells, old man." Rowan, alive, smirking. "I thought we were past this," I said. He laughed. "You were always too sentimental to see the future. Naomi's vision is bigger than your bruised ego. You signed my name. You made me dead on paper. You weren't using it, he said flatly. Silence. Then, I have the will, I said. Good, he said. Send it to whoever you want. By the time they process it, everything will be moved. Every dollar, every deed. You're willing to burn this family down for power. No, he said. I'm doing it because you were never the patriarch. You were just the mistake our father never corrected. I gritted my teeth. If you ever loved Evelyn, I said, if you ever had an ounce of decency in you, walk away now. He didn't answer, just footsteps, walking away, until they stopped. Then, we already filed a report you went missing 2 nights ago. If you disappear tonight, it won't raise an eyebrow. Just another holiday tragedy. The stairwell went quiet. He was gone. I exhaled, counted to 5, then kicked the door open. Nothing. I took the basement route, exited through the service ramp into an alley. Snow now came thick, heavy, like ash. I called Etta. It's done, I said. I have the files. Where are you? Behind their tower, but they know. He was here. You need to move. Now. I walked fast, head down, coat tight. A van drove past, slowed, then sped up again. Wrong plates. No logo. Someone was watching. Always. I ducked into a parking garage. Floor 3, dark, half lit. I got to the back stairwell and pulled the flash drive again. Backed it up to my burner cloud. Encrypted, triple locked. Then copied it to a second drive I kept in my boot. Insurance. At the exit, a figure stood in the shadows. I stopped. Naomi stepped out. Alone. No gun. No rage. Just cold calculation. You don't need to do this, I said. We already did, she said. You're burning the only bridge you ever had. I never needed a bridge, Braxton, she whispered. I needed a clean start. Behind her, headlights, sirens. Etta pulled up fast, tires screeching. Passenger door flung open. Get in! I ran. Naomi didn't stop me. She just watched. We peeled off. As the building disappeared behind us, Etta said, Where's the drive? I handed her the second copy. Let's light this whole thing up. Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. This was war. And I still had one match left to strike. If they want a ghost, I'll show them one. The rooftop wind sliced across my face as Naomi steadied her gun on me. Snow swirled between us, thin, sharp, glittering under the rooftop floodlight, like shards of glass suspended midair. Her breath steamed in the cold. Mine came rough, broken, but steady enough to mask the tremor in my ribs where the fall from Warehouse 19 had reminded me I wasn't 30 anymore. You should have stayed gone, Naomi said. You were already halfway to invisible. I took one step forward and felt the ledge at my back. One misstep, and I'd fall 12 stories, break every bone I had left. I'm still your brother. You stopped being anything to me the moment Dad chose you. Her voice cracked like ice under weight. You think this is about money, about land? This is about erasing a lifetime of being second. The floodlight flickered, a brief outage, a distraction. She blinked. I moved, knocked the barrel up, shot cracked the sky, echoed through the empty downtown streets. We wrestled near the edge, hands locked, boots scraping ice, breaths colliding in white bursts. She was strong, but rage burns fast. Purpose burns longer. Her heels slipped. I caught her wrist. We dangled. Me anchored on one knee, her body half over the void. Snow whipped our faces. She stared up at me, gasping. Let go. No. You can't save everyone, she hissed. You never learned that. I learned something else, I said. Saving someone isn't the same as forgiving them. She froze. And for the first time, her expression cracked. Not rage, not hatred, but something like grief. I pulled her up. She collapsed, hands shaking. The gun lay a foot away. Neither of us reached for it. Sirens wailed below. Blue-red flashes danced against the building. Etta stepped onto the rooftop, hood up, flash drive in hand. It's done. Every file, every forged document, every transfer, broadcast to every agency that matters. Naomi's head jerked up. You? I warned you both, Etta said softly. Secrets demand a price, and they never retire quietly. Security burst through the stairwell door, weapons drawn. Naomi didn't fight, didn't speak. She just closed her eyes like she'd finally stopped running. They cuffed her, led her away. I stood alone at the ledge, breath steadying. The city below glowed with Christmas lights, soft, warm, completely unaware of the war that had just ended above it. Etta came to stand beside me. "You okay?" "No," I said, "but I'm here. Sometimes that's the win." She nodded. "You know, someone once said, the truth doesn't free you, it just keeps you from dying the wrong death." I let that sit, because maybe that was the whole point of this mess. I didn't almost die because I was hated. I almost died because I was necessary. A name to steal, a life to replace, a loose thread too dangerous to leave hanging. I turned away from the ledge. I'm done with their legacy. "You're not walking away from the inheritance?" she asked. "It never belonged to me, and it sure as hell won't bury me. I donated every property in the Ellery Trust, every cent, every acre, a fund in Evelyn's name, my wife, the only person who ever knew the weight I carried, the only one who would have understood what it meant to choose peace at the end of a battlefield." Christmas morning came slow, pale sunlight cutting through the storm clouds. I walked alone down a quiet Minneapolis street, breath fogging the air, the city waking like nothing had changed. But everything had. Family doesn't break you. Expectations do. Silence does. The lie that blood means loyalty does. Sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is step out of the story others wrote for him. At the corner, a small coffee shop opened early. Bell chimed when I stepped in. Warmth wrapped around me like something I hadn't felt in years. A barista smiled. "Morning. Cold out there, huh?" I nodded. "Colder when you're walking away from the life that tried to erase you." She laughed lightly, not understanding the depth of it. "Well, you made it." I took the coffee, sat by the window, watched the snow drift sideways in tired spirals. For the first time in days, no one was chasing me. No one was watching. No one wanted me dead. And in the silence, a thought surfaced, clear, sharp, undeniable. They called me for Christmas. They didn't know I'd become the storm. I sipped my coffee, leaned back, and let the truth settle. Sometimes the family you lose is the freedom you gain.